could do like no wrongdoing. But I was going to say maybe not characterize myself as a Trump supporter, but I think, yes, I very much am at this point. Again, having never voted for him prior to this election, I did come to think that he has, at least in modern history and probably all of human history from all that I've taken in, the most smeared human in all of history.
And yet he overcame. I mean, to not even be on the ballot for the Republican primary and win it hands down,
right? To
not even debate or have to do any of that. The people wanted him.
Yep.
And then to go through every day, if I had a 25 cents for every time Donald Trump's name has been said on MSNBC for the last 5 years,
you'd be a trillionaire.
I'd be probably richer than Elon Musk.
Yeah.
That channel spends most of its day, at least probably 40 to 50% of its time. I don't know, because I haven't timed it, and I don't have data, but it's amazing the amount of energy that they put on Donald Trump, and he's such a threat to them.
Well, that was Gavin.
And I'm not saying that they're absolutely wrong. I mean, some people, very brilliant people that I would greatly respect, writers and economists and historians, are very concerned with Donald Trump and what he's doing. They do think he's a threat to the Constitution and to our country and all. I think that the threat is overblown, and I think it's easy for people to jump on the train. That's what I hate. Is all the phony, and that's how many of these protesters, these people, especially young people out there in LA right now, I think it's still going on. Yeah. How many of them are having a good time busting stuff up that don't really?
Yeah.
So that's my point.
It gets co-opted. And that's I do want to cover some comparisons there where Gavin Newsom stated, "Don't give Trump what he wants. Stay calm, stay peaceful." And yet, if you go and look at True Social or wherever else Donald Trump is posting, it's like very, 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 very clear he does not want this sort of violence and rioting going on in the streets, right? But then it needs to be like, how is Donald Trump the person responsible for the behavior of these people in the state that we run, right? And I think it's very interesting when you compare like the LA riots, where I saw, and Reddit, if you're familiar with Reddit, it's like an online discussion, like social media sort of platform. They were sharing videos from the LA riots, people like taking over the 110, right? Like one of their big highway, freeway interstates over there. And some people were making jokes like, it's a little lighter than normal, like not as much traffic, like that you can actually get from point A to point B faster than under normal conditions, making a joke. But that to me is when you get out of hand, when you start blocking like the public roadways, and like obviously you're way out of hand when you're like vandalizing Waymo autonomous cars, vandalizing police vehicles. Given Brian, our producer, like I think he does make a point. I don't think you should do it, and I think you should be, criminally charged if you do. But if you were going to vandalize any, property, at least make it the property of the state and not the property of, a private business.
Well,
and again, you shouldn't do it at all.
Yeah, my view is it's Martin Luther King, Gandhi, all these people that brought forth these revolutions, and they did it totally peacefully.
Gandhi, I think, is mischaracterized in that way because he was a soldier in the Britain Army, and he actually, for quite a while early on, he pledged more allegiance with Great Britain than he did India.
But when he led the rebellion or whatever, it was peaceful. And I mean, Martin Luther King took his civil rights march and all his efforts. He based, it's my understanding, he based it on Gandhi, maybe others, but Gandhi's followers were not arming themselves and attacking British forces. I don't think that was the case. I think it was always peaceful. you have every right, and you should protest if you disagree and assemble and all. But when you throw a rock and you destroy any property that's not your own, you should go to jail. You should be held accountable. So
I agree.
I think this is totally, and this also stems from the fact that we have all these immigration laws on the books that we haven't been enforcing for years.
Or in the case of Joe Biden, actively change them to make it more possible or easier for illegal immigrants to come in through our border. And previously, the asylum process would take place in Mexico. So if you were waiting for asylum, like for the 6-7 years for your case to be processed to get your a date in court, you would be spending all that time in Mexico. But then the process through an executive order Joe Biden signed is to
stay in Mexico.
Well, to have all the process, like you can stay in the United States during that 6-7 year period. And hey, you fucking disappear into the night, within 6-7 years, maybe make all the money you want, extract it from America and move back to your home country. And I think that's really one of the bigger issues that most people don't care about or worry about, or they don't think is bad, where they're like, oh yeah, of course we don't want the criminals or the rapists or whatever. That's such a small part of the problem. Obviously want all those people gone that have come over the border, right? Legally or illegally, right? If they're criminals, rapists, murders, whatever, right?